Ba-bam! Headphone highlights. Alright. Today, we're wearing... Come on. AKG K7XXs. They are a open back, dynamic driver headphone. Pretty sure they're 50mm, so they're pretty big. And this is another collaboration with Drop, formerly known as Mass Drop. AKG makes where are they from? Dang it, what country is it? Austria? Headphone highlight, yes sir. Headphone highlight time. Yeah, these look pretty cool. Out of everything we've had so far, I would say these are probably the most I don't know, what would you say? The most like popping? That red accent, man, really kicks it in. AKG K7XX. Yes, sir. So, AKG, I'm pretty sure it's not Austrian. It's something else. I can't remember. But they're fairly well-known company for headphones. Some other things too. While this looks, I guess you could say this looks a little gamery, it's not meant for that. It's not meant to be a, you know, a gaming headset or whatever. Stripped down? What do you mean? Stripped down? Anyway. Yeah, they look kind of gamery, but that's mostly just because of the red accent. Minimalist. Yeah, I suppose. There is, you know, form and function to this design, because what they're accomplishing by eliminating the headband, that's like the big deal with this design choice, is rather than having your traditional headband, they have just these bars that act as the support of a headband, and rather than relying on the headband for comfort, they have a suspension strap, a lot like the Philips from last time, right? So it has just kind of these adjusting elastics that make it so you could just put it on and it will pretty much just form fit to you. So in their other more higher end line of this type of model, like this kind of form factor, these are some sort of metal. Maybe they're aluminum or something, but they're on these, they are plastic, so that kind of might cheapen it a little bit, but you know, from a distance you're not really gonna know, and they're, you know, high quality plastic. It's not a big deal. These don't feel cheap at all, even though they are almost entirely plastic, but that's fine because it's high quality stuff. They are very open, which does allow, again, for a good amount of sound stage. So these have sound kind of around this area. It's not super duper wide. I'd say it's probably not as wide. Are they as wide as the Philips? It's probably pretty close. Soundstage probably pretty close to the Fidelios. Matches your hat. Yeah, it kind of does. And they have a detachable cable, thank God. But the cable is a little funky. It's not super funky. It's nowhere near as hard to find as, you know, Sennheiser and their proprietary crap. But it is a little strange. It's almost like a mini XLR, but it's a 3-pin. This would be really difficult for you to see. Oh, there you go. So it's a 3-pin. Is it a mini XLR? I don't think so. With a little nubby locking system. which is fine. The only downside is that it can get easy to mistake, because this is just a 3-pin and there are 4 pins of this exact same termination, so it can be easy to grab a cable that looks like this, not realizing that you grabbed a 3-pin when you need a 4-pin, and you try to cram it in your headphones. You're like, oh, whoops, that's not the right cable. Maybe I bent the pins. Oh no. You just gotta pay attention. So, yeah, these are again, a partnership with Drop. They're based off of, what are these based off of? I almost want to say they're based off of the K7, is it the 14s? Those are like the really, really nice ones. But I don't think so. AKG K7, the 12s, K712 Pros. They might be a little bit based on the K712 Pros, but from what I don't own any of the 712s, but from what I've heard about, excuse me, the 712s, they're a pretty big leap from this. So they might be similar in some ways, but in general, this is kind of like the more affordable version, and they're pretty affordable. They have really large cups, which are a good spacey 3-knuckle. The pads are by default velour, which, you know, I don't have any problem with velour pads. The only issue that I have with velour pads, not everyone has this, but for me, velour pads can get a little warm after wearing them for a long time. So if that's something that you suffer with, having your ears getting really hot, you might want to pay attention to that. Maybe swap these out for replacement pads. But otherwise, the pads are pretty nice. The memory foam in this is super duper dense. Watch this. It is really major memory. Look how slow it is. So it is really, really good quality memory foam. It's really, really dense, so it doesn't make the pads super soft. They're not like plushy soft because they're so firm. But it's a good forming memory foam, quality memory foam. You were going to ask if they got hot. Yeah, they do get a little hot. For me, they get a little hot. Like after a while though, like just sitting here streaming with you guys, apparently they also beat me up. Sitting here streaming with you guys, I haven't really had much of an issue, but well, I guess they just kind of demonstrated themselves that there is quite a bit of clamp force here. Still probably not as much as the Sennheisers, at least right out of the box. But there's a fair amount, especially if you have a large head, because getting to like this point, there's quite a bit of force. So that's where maybe you would benefit from having softer pads, because these being so dense, they do kind of clamp on you a bit. Of course, that means they're not going anywhere, so that's nice. So let's talk about the cloud comfort system. The pads, even though they're a bit warm, so that marks them down a little bit. They're a bit firm, that marks them down a little bit. Headband's fine. I have no problem with the headband. It's a little, it feels a little cheap because it's plastic, but in terms of function, it's totally fine, and the comfort's totally fine too. The head strap is, well, it's a fake leather strap, so it's not the softest thing in the world. It's a little actually pretty darn firm, so that's not the most plush comfortable thing to have on your head, but head straps in general offer more all-around support, which leaves less opportunity for there to be pressure points anywhere on your head. Having a regular headphone headband oftentimes will cause pressure points either on the side of your head or the top of your head. So that's what's nice about having a head strap, is usually that gets totally avoided. So cloud comfort, I said that the Philips were an 8 with those upgraded pads, so I'll give these a 7, solid 7. They're okay, 6.5. I had to take it down a little bit because they're only a little bit more comfortable than maybe the Sennheisers are. So, yes, because they're made of plastic, they are lighter. So that is good. You know, just because a headphone's made of plastic doesn't mean it's low quality by any means, right? Because that is a major factor. If it's made of plastic, it's going to be lighter, and you want, you know, the lighter your headphone, the more comfortable it's going to be. So this might not necessarily be just a, you know, cost-saving decision, but a actual comfort decision. They decided to do this to lower the weight to make them more comfortable for most people. And they are very well, very decently comfortable. They're more comfortable than the Sennheisers by a little bit, so we're going to give them a 6.5 out of 10. They're not as comfortable as the Fidelios, even with the default. I think I said the Fidelios on a default were a 7, or maybe a 7.5. These are 6.5. Good. Very good. So the sound on these, I haven't worn these in quite a while. So it was kind of a treat to sit here and kind of go through my music library and do a little bit of gaming with them, because I had forgotten how cool these are. They have some of the most, I'm not going to say some of the most, they have very impressive imaging. So imaging, to define it, is when you're listening to your headphone and you're listening to something that is recorded that's not mono, is stereo or whatever, with headphones that have really good imaging, it doesn't, rather than it sounding like everything is either here on my left side and here on my right side, I hear this or I hear this, or you have headphones that are just like very forward facing, so it feels like all the sound is just like right in front of you. Headphones that have really good imaging, it's not here, it's not here, it is wherever the sound is. Okay? So, like when I'm listening to, I don't remember what I was listening to last night, but when I'm listening to a band, I hear, you know, the vocalist is right here. He's right here on my left. He's not on the left side of my head. He's like here. And the drums are here. The guitar is here. The bassist is here. It's like, it's really precise. You can really, I could sit here with my music on, close my eyes, and can totally visualize where every single person is, where every single instrument is, and I feel that space. So really good imaging. That's imaging. When you are able to identify the position of every piece of the ensemble of your music or your whatever have you. In terms of gaming, it does the same thing. So if I'm sitting here and I'm playing a shooter game and I hear footsteps with something with really good imaging, I can tell that they're not just on my left side or they're on my right side. I could tell if they're anywhere between dead in front of me, all the way here, and all the way back behind me. You can hear it. It really does give you this sensation when things are behind you. So that, for someone who's really competitive with gaming, these are a great choice, because it really does give you that. If you're really paying attention to that kind of thing, you can really hear where everything is around you. Gunfire is over here. Someone's walking over here. You can hear it. So yeah, the imaging on these are awesome. And I totally forgot about that. So that was a real pleasure for me, because I kind of dismissed these, which wasn't very fair. I had them on my shelf just kind of collecting dust. I haven't used them in so long. But yeah, the imaging on these are awesome, man. Let's see, they are more neutral than you would expect them to be. You see something like this and you probably think, oh, they're probably really super bassy, they're very V-shaped, they're very gamery sounding. No, they're not. They're not. I know I keep saying it. I know I keep comparing everything to the 6XXs in terms of neutrality and frequency response, but that's because that's what the 6XX is built for. They're built to be neutral, true sounding headphones, and that's where they deliver. So that's what you gotta compare against, because they're great for that. They're just honest headphones. These are not V-shaped, but they do have a little bit of, a little here, a little there. The low end is it's really, really clean sounding. It's not overwhelming by any means. It can get pretty deep and pretty thumpy and impressive. Maybe not quite as much as the Fidelios, but still perfectly enjoyable. These are I would call these very dark sounding headphones. We've heard me call things warm before, call things cool. These are very dark. So it just kind of, when I refer to something that's very warm, it's like something that's very relaxed, very like honey. It's very relaxing. It's very smooth. Something that's more dark is, if you were to take that smoothness with the kind of like that more recessed in the details, and not the details, but the more recessed in the frequencies, but make it a little bit crisp, right? And it's because, I think partially because of that imaging. The imaging is so precise on these that rather than being a very, I'm sitting here and I'm just relaxed, hanging out, it's hard for me not to pay attention to what's around me. It's very noticeable that there's something here. There's a dude over there singing. There's a guitar over here. There's gunfire coming from above me. Oh my god. You can't just kind of sit back and relax in the same way as you can with the Fidelios. These have such good imaging that even though they have this kind of increase in the low end, and the mid range is very present, and the high end is not super duper present, it's very, very crisp. So it's very dark. It has this low, satisfying sound that's very precise in terms of where things are. So they're really cool, man. They're freaking. Wait, I'm so happy I took the time to wear these for a week, because that's what I do, by the way. Is after I do a headphone highlight, like as soon as I get off stream, I'm going to take these off, unplug them, put them back on the shelf, and grab the next one. And I'm going to wear that for the entire week until we do this again. That's what I've been doing here, is I wear them for a week and then I do a highlight on them. So it's been a real treat wearing these again. I'm glad I still have them. I'm glad I bought them. Yeah, they're great. They're super cool. You describe the sound like a food critic describes a masterful meal. Why, thank you. I don't know if I really want to be referred to as the Ramsey of headphones or anything like that, but yeah, these are really fun. These are really cool. I like these a lot. I like them better than I thought I did. And these were one of the early buys for me in terms of this whole headphone journey. These are one of the first, like maybe first 3 or 5 or something like that. But yeah, they're really cool, and you can get really nice replacement pads for these. So if you're really worried about the warmth issue, don't worry too much about it. You can find replacement pads for these, and I'm sure that just makes it beautiful. But Is it bland? Have you given up? Really? So yeah, AKG 7XXs, they're great if you want to have just really killer pinpoint, almost, I'm not gonna say perfect imaging, but really, really great imaging, man. You can really just, you want to have a really cool experience, go onto YouTube. I'm going to make sure I get the name on this correct so you can actually look this up right. Oh, that's what it is. Okay. Go onto YouTube. Make sure you have a pair of headphones. It has to be headphones. It doesn't have to be crazy good headphones. Whatever headphones you have. But get some headphones. Go onto YouTube and search Virtual Barbershop. Virtual Barbershop. The thumbnail is just a blue screen that just says Virtual Barbershop on it. And it's an experience. Listen, watch that video with your headphones, and that'll give you kind of a simulated idea of what I'm talking about with imaging. Because even with crappy headphones, that's going to sound really amazing, just because of the way that's recorded. So yeah, when you got time, go check that out. You know what? What am I doing? I could just post a link in the chat. It's almost like, you know, I know how to use the internet or something. Here's the link. There you go. So check that out when you have a chance. It's super cool. And that'll give you an idea of what I'm talking about with imaging, where it really does, you can pinpoint where everything is. Very cool stuff. Okay, let's get this back underway. Vroom.